So we ended up having some pretty heavy rains last night, and all the trenches I worked on yesterday with the boys are now filled with water. You can see all the water here pooling up in the trenches for the irrigation. I guess we did really want to get water to the garden, but that's okay. They don't seem to have destroyed the actual shape of the trench. There's just a lot of water in there. And looking on the positive side, the water is actually making it a lot easier to dig. It loosened up the soil quite a bit and has made things soft, and the shovel is going into the ground a lot easier. So hopefully we'll be able to crank out the rest of these trenches today and get started on laying all the PEX pipe. There are a lot of worms in this dirt. He's wiggling. There's a lot of grass around this post. So let's get rid of all that grass. We cleaned that up quite a bit. Looks a lot better. Need to get the rest of the weeds out of these blueberries too. Ryan just pulled up with more trees. What'd you get?
Granny Smith, Fuji apple, and a third one.
He's got a bunch of concrete in here too for another project we're gonna be working on.
Don't get confused between two.
Hopefully this weekend. Granny Smith.
Oh yeah, pink lady.
Pink lady apple, yeah. That looks good. I love pink lady apples. And a Fuji apple. We will get those 3 apple trees planted here in a little bit, but I want to work on the irrigation for right now. Now that Ryan's home, he's helping out. It should go pretty quickly to get the rest of this PEX line installed to bring the drip irrigation over to the new beds. Now, we have a whole video on our channel completely detailing all the steps involved in doing the drip irrigation. But basically, the gist of it is we have PEX lines running underground that pop up in the corner of each bed with a shutoff valve, and then we lay the drip tubing on top of that. Ryan's working on crimping just the fittings together to make everything nice and secure and to make sure that everything stays intact. Ryan's working on installing all of the PEX lines right now. We're probably just going to finish one bed at the moment because I have some plants that I want to get planted a little bit later today. And then we'll install the rest of the PEX lines and complete the other beds in the upcoming days. Drip irrigation set up in our vegetable garden and flower garden area, and it was such a game changer being able to not have to water the garden. And I found that my harvests were a lot bigger too. So that was something we wanted to get done on the forefront of these beds before we filled them up with dirt.
So we have this set up to put a shutoff valve in this corner.
Then we're gonna run the pipe underneath the bed all the way down to go into the next bed. We're learning from our mistakes on our last beds and putting the landscaping fabric up underneath the raised beds. Last time we laid out the landscaping fabric after the fact, and we had to tuck it up underneath because grass was shooting out in between the crack of the raised bed and where the landscaping fabric started. But this time around, we're putting it in before we're even filling it up with dirt. The other day when I topped off all these beds with some fresh compost, I just had to use the wheelbarrow and a shovel because the tractor was not working. But good news, the tractor's working again. The hydraulics were the issue. Ryan had to drain off all the hydraulic fluid, clean out the filter, and then replace the hydraulic fluid. And now the tractor is back up and running. So we're gonna use the tractor to fill up these new beds in the berry patch. We're using a 50-50 topsoil compost blend, and bug on me. And the landscaping fabric is coming in a little bit, I'd say 2 or 3 inches inside each of the beds. Last time we waited till after the beds were completely built and finished, and the drip irrigation was an afterthought. This time we're planning ahead and getting all those essentials done first. They're essentials in our book anyway because it really makes a big difference in the amount of time we have to spend on watering and weeding the garden. This bed is set and exactly where it's supposed to be. That one's not quite set yet. So that's why it looks a little crooked,
Ryan really likes to get things straight and perfect, which I appreciate. So we are going to string line up and measure and level and do all those things to the other beds before we fill those up. But today we're just focusing on completing this bed right here so that we can plant some things at the end of this video. Cover this up so hopefully it doesn't get dirt inside when we're filling up the beds here. Ooh, it's sticking to my finger.
It's on your finger.
This is crazy. Oh no. It's very sticky tape. Alright, I'm gonna have to get more tape. We haven't gotten our shutoff valves yet, so we're gonna cover this up so it doesn't get dirt down in the hole.
I see myself.
You can.
For my reflection.
Your reflection. Oh. Alright. There we go. And then I'm gonna spray paint.
Why is it all black?
It's supposed to protect the pecks from the sun.
Ryan's bringing in some wood chips from the forest, and then we are going to put the compost topsoil on top.
We've got the raised bed filled with dirt now, so we get to plant some berry bushes. I have 3 different types of raspberries and 2 honeyberry bushes. The honeyberry bushes don't exactly look super great. I'm hoping that they leaf out and do well and they're just dormant right now, but they're a little bit on the smaller side. Honeyberry bushes need a pollinator in order to produce fruit from what I've been reading. So I have 1 beauty honeyberry bush and 1 beast honeyberry bush. I think that's kind of a fun name, Beauty and the Beast honeyberry bushes. I've never tried a honeyberry before, but from what I've been reading and from other people's experience, I've heard it tastes like a blueberry. However, it's bigger. The honeyberries should be about the size of a grape, if not a little bit longer, and just as sweet and the flavor of a blueberry. So that'll be fun. I really hope that's true because we love blueberries and bigger blueberries would be great. Now the raspberry bushes, these are all bare root raspberry bushes. I have 3 different types. An yellow raspberry, and there's 3 of each of the types. Then we have double gold raspberry bushes, and the last type is Joan J. Primocane. So let's get these planted into the ground. So the honeyberry bushes are gonna go in line with the raised beds. Now, we haven't built the one that's gonna go right here yet, so I'm kind of planning ahead. Maybe a little deep.
Mom?
And this is Biotone starter fertilizer that I'm putting in each of the holes. So this honeyberry bush is the Beast variety, and that one over there that we just planted is Beauty. So the very end of the row has the Beast. And this one actually had a stick that broke in shipment, and it has quite a few nodes on it. So I'm gonna put that into the ground right here in the raised bed, and maybe we can propagate one. We'll see if it works.
And I'm just putting the landscaping fabric around it so that hopefully no weeds grow.
We're gonna do an yellow raspberry at the very end, and then in the middle of the bed we will be doing the double gold raspberry, and then at the very end will be the red traditional type raspberry. These are all tangled up.
The honeyberry bushes and all of these raspberries I ordered from starkbrothers.com. We're not sponsored by them, it's just where I happen to order them from.
Pretty wild root system there. And I'm gonna cut back all of these canes to about 2 inches. last thing we need to do to our raspberries is to cup them a little bit above the ground. Raspberries are notorious for spreading like crazy, so we left quite a bit of room in this bed for them to take over. Plus, I really hope they do spread. That sounds great to me, to have extra transplants we can move around and make even more raspberry beds in the future. This is an exciting start to our new berry beds, so follow along for this series and subscribe to our channel. We're going to be planting a lot more different berry varieties over the next couple weeks and creating more beds too. The next day, I'm out here watering all of the fruit trees. We had planted them pretty late into the evening last night. I think we finished around 11 o'clock. It's kind of a tradition for Ryan and I to plant fruit trees after dark. Every time we plant trees, it seems to be late in the evening or once it's dark outside. So far, it works out pretty well. We have all the fruit trees planted behind me, but I guess planting trees should probably be something you do during the day so you make sure they're straight. But we did it by the headlights of the truck last night, so it worked out. I'm excited for all these trees. Hopefully they do well and produce lots of fruit for us.
I have a lot of grass growing already underneath all my blackberry bushes. I want to get this all pulled up and hopefully put some fresh mulch down to prevent weeds from growing in the future. While I've been pulling weeds, Ryan has been working on making trips with the tractor to fill up the rest of these raised beds.
So we have irrigation trenched up in the bed and then up in the corner there. And we have another one pipe going through here, popping up in this bed. And that tube runs across. And we're gonna put 2 more beds here in the middle eventually.
Most of the wood chips from our woods in the back are pretty nice, actually. It's started to break down and has been really soft and kind of small pieces. There are a few big chunks in there, but for the most part, it's pretty good. We're having to clean up a little bit here as we're trying to fill these Vigo raised garden beds, but the tractor is definitely very handy when it comes to filling up these beds. It's a beautiful evening. The sun is just gorgeous. And there's actually some deer over in the field. I'm surprised they were this close with all the tractor noises that we've been making. I think maybe the goats and the sheep there in the field, they feel at home and they feel like there's other big animals next to them. But look at the sky. God's so good. It is definitely a beautiful day to be outside working in the garden.
The blueberry hedge behind me here has another spot here at the very end of the row where I have room to plant one more blueberry bush. So that's what we're going to put into the ground. This is a different variety than all the ones I currently have planted. Let me see. It is called the Blue Jay blueberry bush. You know, we're Bluebird Homestead, so I figured Blue Jay was a good name for a blueberry bush. And it has a list of all the different pollinators that would work for this berry bush on the back. And we have a couple of those varieties already, so I think it'll be great. Into the hole that I'm planting the blueberry, I am adding a little bit of the berry tone fertilizer into the hole. I definitely picked a spot with a lot of rocks in it. These are some pretty good sized rocks too. It's in the ground now. That completes the blueberry hedge here. We may do a second hedge somewhere else in the future, but for right now, this is all the blueberries that we have.
We're going to be planting a lot more berry bushes here in the next week or two, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.